This is a Peugeot 102, a French moped from the 1960s. And according to the service tag, it hasn't ran in 36 years. So I did some looking around because I do not know anything about this little moped. But from just looking at it, it looks more like a bicycle than it does a little motorized vehicle. These pedals are actually used to start the engine. This does not have a starter motor, it's a pedal start. It goes about 25 kilometers an hour, and it has been sitting for a long ass time. Yeah, that's supposed to be the original color. Somebody has for sure been in here before, because there's quite a lot of screws missing. So I hope they didn't mess with stuff too much, but I guess we're just gonna remove these plastics and see what's under here. We got the plastics off and look at this, guys. This looks absolutely crazy. This is the manifold that goes to the carb. Look how weird. Like, I've never seen a manifold like that. So long and narrow. No, this appears to be a little bit loose. So going to a tiny carb into a tiny little airbox right here. Now I see some kind of nipple here. I'm not sure what that is. I thought it was supposed to go to the carb, but I see another little fuel line running through the bottom of the of the tank right here. So man, that's very hard and brittle. I'm gonna have to change that out, but yeah, I'm not sure what that is. There are also about 5 cables running through the handlebars, which now with that open I can see what they do. Of course, these two are front and rear brake. Throttle is right here, which could use a little bit of lube. Now I wasn't sure about these two little guys. Now it turns out this one sits at the front of the cylinder head, which is decompression. A little decompression switch. So for when you're pedaling, you can open it up. There's no resistance really. You can pedal it up to speed, close it, and it should start. And this one actually is a choke, as I can see moving here. And this is a kill switch, actually. Okay, let's see if we can get this carb off and out of here, because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of space in this frame to pull it out, but they somehow got it in there, so it somehow has to come out. You can tell it's a two-stroke because everything has a nice coat of old oil on it. Okay, after messing with it for a little bit, I think it's finally time for it to come off. Yes, we're free. Almost. Just have to unhook the fuel line and shit, and this can come out. Alright guys, so I got the carb off. It is very greasy. Quite a tiny carb, unlike any carb I've seen before. It's so simple. It really is so simple. So it has been a few days. The carb is currently soaking in the ultrasonic cleaner, and I decided to take a look at the airbox, which has the air filter in here. There's a little metal mesh cutout that sits in here that is held into place by this metal piece with a screw going through here, which goes all the way through the housing. Now, I was gonna take a look at the filter material itself, and I don't know how well you guys can see in there, but when you touch this, it just falls apart. I don't see this, yeah, I don't see this being very good filter material anymore. So I'm just gonna buy a universal like sheet of air filter material and just cut it to shape. I think that's gonna be the easiest. I don't think anybody's gonna make replacements for a little airbox like this. The fuel line got so hard over the years and caked on that it needed a little bit of help coming off. And in the meantime, I also gave the greasy airbox a quick clean. So I cleaned the carb to the best of my ability. It seems pretty clean. So the carb is installed, and this is the throttle mechanism. This little screw here holds this plastic piece on top of the carb, which also acts as the cap. This is the throttle cable. It just hooks into this hook. It just looks like a bent paper clip, really. And if you pull on it, this pulls the throttle slide. I don't know how visible that is on camera, but the throttle cable just pulls back, pulling up that hook, and that hook pulls on the throttle slide. Very simple, but it works. And of course, a big shout out to my grandma making me a hot mug of soup, because it's quite cold here in the workshop. I'm gonna enjoy this. One mug of soup later, it is time to get back to work. With the old fuel line being so brittle, the bike desperately needed some new line. Of course, the only thing I had laying around was this bright pink one, but hey, it works. I also added a little inline fuel filter just to be safe. The spark plug that came in the bike was a brand I've never heard of, and after doing some research, it just doesn't exist anymore. So I went to the local shop and got a brand new NGK plug. After raiding grandma's cabinet for a measuring cup, I measured out the correct amount of oil. Yes, I'm using 2 different kinds of oils. Yes, I know that's not best practice, but it's the only thing I have right now. I also added a little bit more oil than usual because the bike hasn't ran in so long, so a little bit of extra lubrication won't hurt. With the new fuel lines, cleaned carb, spark plug, and now fresh fuel, the bike is going to start. There is nothing that could go wrong, or so I thought, because the bike quickly puked out all the fuel. Remember this nipple that I thought was used for fuel? This is actually a push-pull petcock. So you pull it out, fuel is off, and then you push it in, fuel is on. That would have been nice to know when the bike was leaking all its fuel on the ground. And while I'm waiting for a new carb I've ordered, I decided to give this bike a much needed clean. I decided to turn this into a separate video, so if you want to watch this satisfying cleaning session, there will be a link in the description below. And a couple of days later, the new carb shows up. It's a 15mm Delorto carb, recommended to me by some people that deal with these bikes a lot. Apparently, it's a big upgrade. Unfortunately, the stock throttle cable doesn't work with this carb, so I had to install a new one. And while I was wrenching on the bike, I decided to take off the wheels because we desperately needed some new tires. So next up is installing these, and hopefully maybe we could try a first start today if everything goes according to plan. Because to be quite honest, I have never heard this engine make any noise. So it's about time to see if there's even some life still left in it. Which I'm sure it is, you know, it looks very good. I don't doubt it's gonna run. And let me tell you, after installing these new tires, the bike looks so much better. The tires are a little bit chunkier than the original ones, which I personally think looks great. The tires are a little bit bigger than the stock ones, so I was worried it would not fit under the rear fender and front fender. They fit perfectly fine. I also went ahead and attached the fuel lines again and the throttle cable. Fueled up the tank, so I guess we're ready for a first start. I saw fuel enter the fuel filter and I don't see a leak yet like the previous carb. So I think we're good to go. I'm a little bit nervous, not gonna lie. Nothing happening yet. I guess we better check if we have spark, because otherwise I'm just pedaling here for nothing. This bike makes for a great home trainer, but it doesn't look like it is going anywhere anytime soon. Why? Well, it turns out we don't have any spark. And yes, I know, spark is something I should have checked way sooner. I kinda just hoped it was okay, because I didn't have the right flywheel puller, and I hoped I didn't have to buy one. But hey, here we are. And this flywheel was on there, to the point where I was just picking up the bike, trying to get it off. But in the end, it was no match for me. In the last clip, you saw me remove the flywheel, which now is back on. That's because between that clip and this one, there's actually quite some time that has passed. I got really busy with graduating, which I have now done. and I'm back working on this thing. But in that time, I still did some stuff, which I'll go over now. I tried fueling up the bike in the past, and all the fuel quickly got spilled back out. And that's because this is the original carb, and there was a piece broken. This is where the fuel comes in on your fuel line. This goes over top here, but a part of this threaded part broke off into this nut, and it no longer wants to seal. Which is when I found this carb. It's a Delorto 15mm, a common upgrade for these bikes. I actually had it mounted on it until I found this carb by chance at a swap meet. The exact same as the original carb, so I just had to pick it up to keep this bike all original. Another issue we were having is we had no spark, which is why the flywheel had to come off. This uses a points ignition. These are the points, they open and close. Not sure if you can see that on camera, but they're opening and closing. The issue we had is that there was clearly somebody that went in here and messed around with it. These points were so bent that they weren't touching each other anymore here. And when they're not touching, there's no spark. So we bent those back into place and we had spark. And now that we finally have spark, the bike should run, right? Well, it kinda works. For the first time, we finally hear some life out of this engine, but it's still not running great. It seems like the bike is making no power as it does not want to make any RPM, and once the bike gets hot, it just dies and doesn't want to start again. Which brings us here. I did some research online and found out that the condensator on these bikes can go bad, and since this bike has been sitting for 36 years, I decided to play it safe and replace it. After all, it was only around €2 to replace it anyway. If this doesn't fix it, then I don't know what to try anymore, so we're just gonna go for it. It's freezing cold, so if this bike starts now, it definitely is good to go. And if it stays running, of course. Wow, guys, that ran so well. I'm surprised. That was wow. Only one small issue. This little decompression lever appears to do absolutely nothing. I'm assuming the little decompression valve or like release is stuck on the engine, because usually you pull that, the engine then loses compression and stalls. I pulled it and nothing happens, so I had to pull the spark plug boot of the spark plug. But that's an issue for another time. Man, even the headlight worked. I'm so happy with that. The taillight did not appear to be working though. Bike is super loud, and after some investigating, there is the problem. A big rust hole right there in the muffler, which is fine because I found this one at that exact same swap meet. I found the carb at, so we can swap that on. I'll throw the plastics on, and then we'll take it out for a ride. Alright, you might be wondering, Legend, you said you were gonna put on the plastics? Correct, but that's until I looked outside and saw it was getting dark already, because of winter. So I figured we'll do a test ride first. Can't forget to put this back on, my kill switch. Alright, the kill switch is off. Fuel is on. Let's see how far this can get me. Oh boy. There's no way. There's no way. Okay, it's idling a little bit low. We can try to ride it. Okay. No way. No way. It was running so well inside. Let's see if we can pedal start it. Making a fool out of myself. Come on, bitch. Yes. Oh my god, we're running. I'm about dead, but we're running. Woo! We're running after 36 years. This is a workout. Let's see if the headlight still works. It does. Woo! I don't even know where I'm going. Woo! I'm so sorry to everybody in this neighborhood, but this is quite loud. Where they idle. It's idling! Let's get the GPS out and see how quick this thing is. Okay, put it in the pocket. And we'll see what it does. Oh, it's idling, thank God. Woo! It's definitely not quick. Oh, there we go. My handy dandy kill switch. There we go. How quick was it? 30 kilometers an hour. Hey man, I'll take it. God damn. Let's head inside, I'm freezing. And just like that, we brought this bike back to life and potentially saving it from the scrapyard. And to me, that's one of my favorite things to do. I finished up the bike by putting on the plastics and the new exhaust, and the bike sounds awesome. I hope you enjoyed this journey of bringing this bike back to life, and I wish you all happy holidays.